Hi, everyone. How are you? So, as TRG pointed out today, and thank you very much for informing us, there was another, yet more documentaries, always documentaries coming out all the time, particularly in the UK about the Harry and Meghan saga, the PR push, telling the same story over and over and over again. Here we are in 2025, and they're retelling the Harry and Meghan story. Why are they doing this? Why this narrative push? What's going on? Well, we look at the 9 principles of propaganda. You got the big lies, you got the focus. So they are repeating the big lies, number one. Number two, focus. Don't make it complicated and ignore history. And in this case, they're ignoring a lot of the history behind the events that Harry and Meghan did. Like, for example, doing the Oprah interview when Prince Philip was dying. Meghan Markle, I noticed with her PR, purposefully does things on specific dates to provoke people, which is number 5. But it's easy to forget that when you're looking back through history, people will look back and say, well, why did people get so upset that she was, introducing this cheap wine on July 1st and whatnot? People, the future probably may not remember that that's Princess Diana's birthday. So Meghan does this a lot with the timing, whether it's a date, whether it's Catherine's birthday or Prince William's birthday, whoever. She does birthdays, and also they conveniently ignore and purposely do things when it's, these major events that they're overshadowing. So the fact that these documentaries are coming out, I wonder if they're really pushing hard now and doing things when King Charles is ill. But anyways, repeat, number 3. So focus, they ignore certain parts of history and just put Harry and Meghan's viewpoint and everything. But repeating, this is, I believe, is what these documentaries are really emphasizing on. Repeating their narrative over and over and over again. And the blame, never credit the other side, right? Always blaming. So all of these points are, going on here. But the repeating here is the repetition of documentary after documentary after documentary. It's nonstop. And it's PR. It's just part of the propaganda. So looking at the documentary itself, they spend the first 10 minutes going over the lies that we've heard about Megalodon. They keep repeating over and over. Meghan was a big star in Suits and had a cult following. It's like, no, she wasn't. Nobody knew who she was. She did not have a cult following. She was a nobody. I suspect the show did. I don't even know if it was on the air, but people keep claiming they watched it. I don't know anybody who watched it. Not that that means anything, but the show nobody knew who Meghan was. She was not celebrity or a star in any way. And the same thing with her TIG WordPress. Okay, I had a WordPress. Everybody had a WordPress blog. It was very common. Meghan's WordPress blog, if it existed at the time, was not a moneymaker, was not making her a millionaire, was not prominent at all, never heard of it, nobody cared. So they're boosting her up again and again, trying to make it like she was this famous celebrity, and she's, she made herself a self-made millionaire. And then they go on and say that Harry discovered Meghan via this Instagram picture. I mean, can you be any more mocking and insulting to people? So they want you to believe in this documentary that Prince Harry saw this picture and he just fell so in love with this almost 40-year-old woman, Z-list actress. This is what they want you to believe in this British documentary, Channel 5. Oh, yeah, Harry saw this and he couldn't resist. He's like, make me a date with her, right? We're supposed to believe that. Yeah. And this is about the Soho House picture. And this woman's claiming that she saw the picture and she wondered, she saw this on Instagram and wondered about it. It's like, no, nobody saw it. Nobody cared. The only time this picture really got any attention or notice is after Meghan, became engaged to Prince Harry. Like this woman right here saying at this point, what? That's so crazy. She's a famous actress. No, she wasn't. She was not famous at all. No one had any idea who she was. So again, this is repetition. And they were so vague, fake, and funny right from the beginning. Just a quick glimpse back at their little interview when they were engaged.
17, the prince popped the question.
It's a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cozy night. What were we doing? Just roasting chicken and
Roasting trying to roast a chicken.
Trying to roast a chicken, and it was just an amazing surprise. It was so sweet and.
So imagine you're dating a prince, and he proposes to you, and they say, "Well, how did he propose? What was it like?" Someone proposes to you, particularly a famous prince, when you're a nobody actress, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh," you would have details. You would be, I was looking at the menu and I look up and there he is next to my seat. I'm like, what are you doing kneeling down? Did you drop something? That kind of, you'd have a more detailed story. But this is very vague and basically lies. I think points to the fact that they're lying throughout. They've been lying since day one. So the way Meghan describes it was an amazing surprise, and it was so sweet and natural and romantic. I mean, very vague description of being proposed to by a British prince, right? So right then and there, I mean, you could start. That's just one part. This entire fake psyop, it's just been so fake from the beginning, and it's things like this that you can point to and say, "Yeah, that doesn't sound right. It's not." And the abuse of the words "authentic" and all natural and all this garbage that she comes up with. Repetition. So then they jump into the Fab Four, right? And immediately the accusations are, so this is an attack on Catherine here. I'm just going to mute it because I don't want to. But you can see she was an outspoken feminist, worked at the UN, big on philanthropy, lie. She did work, I think, do something with the UN, but she was not a philanthropist. And this woman's a total supporter, Sussex Squad type person. So they're describing that, it was very exciting when she joined, this almost 40-year-old woman. But for Meghan, marriage to the royal family meant sacrifices. Yeah, and that's another thing. It's like she chose to marry into, she had to give up her blog. She had to give up her little WordPress blog. Ooh, what a sacrifice. I mean, it's so ridiculous. They're trying to blow up her little WordPress blog is a big deal. She had to set fire to everything she built, which is a lie. She was being let go from the Suits show. She had no prospect for acting in the future, and her blog was nothing. Nobody ever heard of it. Her WordPress blog. But they're in this documentary. They're saying, "Oh, Meghan had to set fire to everything she had created and done," trying to make it sound like she set fire to a Kardashian empire. Now, this is the part where they're attacking Catherine. Caused a few problems, particularly with Catherine. What they're saying here. No mention of the fact that Meghan bullied the staff. Right here, we know that famously the wedding between Harry and Meghan caused a few problems, particularly with Catherine. Right? No mention of Meghan bullying the staff. No mention of Prince Harry yelling at the Queen for 10 minutes. We didn't know about it at this point. But there were quite a few problems Meghan was causing. Meghan changed her dress a million times. Meghan made the choir who sang the song, This Little Light of Mine, or whatever the hell they sang. And light can refer to Satanism. They got illuminated. This is the dark light that they refer to. Just saying. They all mentioned the fact that she kept changing her mind on them. She made them redo it just to be a witch. But no, in this documentary, according to this British documentary, Catherine was the problem here. She was the main issue, according to the Channel 5. So they go into that brief moment of a Fab Four that they push for like 30 seconds. And they point out that, the relationship was very difficult because of Catherine, basically. Because Catherine and Meghan had nothing in common. It was all because of that. So you see the agenda here for sure with this documentary. And then this guy talks about, well, I heard that there were issues between Harry and William. And he said he used to deny it. He said, no, it's not possible. I know the two of them. There's never an issue between them. So they're trying to clear Prince William from it. They're saying, oh no, Harry and William always got along famously, which we know is not true. They're fighting from day one. It's documented fact that they always fought. But in this documentary, they want to pin it all on Catherine, not accepting Meghan. And of course, Meghan does nothing wrong. She's just this ambitious woman, feminist, philanthropist. She's not a feminist. She's not a philanthropist. They just want to make it seem like she did nothing wrong. And that she realized that it wasn't for her. But I mean, didn't she do any research? She's almost 40 years old. She didn't research what her life would be like before she accepted the position as a full-time royal, which she didn't have to take. And then they go into the half in, half out that she wanted. We all know that's what Meghan wanted. But of course, the Queen said no, because that's not how things are done with the royal family, which Meghan should have known. And like in this section, this guy is saying, when you look at her background, that what you can earn there, the freedom of the profile, like in Hollywood. He said to her, it must have been a shock. It was very much get married, you're in, and all of a sudden, by the way, this is how it works here. All of a sudden, like the royal family just appeared overnight. Not like it's an institution that's been around for thousands of years, and it's extremely well known that they have their rules and protocols, being the royal family. And the way this propagandist is trying to spin it, oh, Meghan was just blindsided. What? There's rules and protocols to learn the national anthem? What? I had to cross my legs? I mean, you see how they're spinning this, there's a little spin, spin, spin. So we've got, Meghan's allegedly, not really, this billionaire actress, philanthropist, UN ambassador, and she marries in the royal family, and Catherine causes problems. And now, by the way, Meghan's, shocked and blindsided by suddenly there's royal protocols and rules. And they go into the Sandringham Summit about how Megalodon posted it on Instagram, just pushing the royal family to act. So they had the Sandringham Summit. Queen put her foot down. There's no half in, half out. You're in or you're out. And this part right here, it takes character to be able to step away. So they're saying it takes character for Meghan to step away from what was basically a free lottery ticket. Character? Don't you mean failure? So for almost a 40-year-old woman, she knew exactly what she was marrying into, what was expected. But it takes character to step away from that. Yeah, to be a loser doesn't take any character at all. But again, just pointing out the spin, spin, spin here. And this part is another lie. They plan to carve out a new path and work to become financially independent. That was a big lie, PR lie they pushed and continue to push to this day, when we know for a fact Harry would go on Oprah in a little while and complain that his father cut him off. Yeah, financially independent. Not. Harry would also turn around and file a lawsuit to get publicly funded security. He spent millions on that. He wanted the public to pay. And I think the American public during the Biden administration, and maybe to this day, pay for their security in the U.S. So, yeah, financially independent, not. So then they point out the fact that Harry would never have left the royal family if it wasn't for Meghan, which I think is true. And that's probably the main reason why many people look sympathetically on Harry and think he's controlled by Meghan with everything. And it could be blackmail. I don't know. But that is a fact that he would not have left if it hadn't been for Meghan and whoever's behind Meghan. And then he goes into Harry isn't looking very happy, though. Yeah. And so Meghan knew what she wanted back in California. I'm afraid every time I see Harry, he doesn't look so happy. Yeah, but he's a miserable F-U-C-K, that's why. And they go on, they say, this is not the Harry I knew, the Harry that left the royal family. It's not the Harry I knew, he says. It's not the Harry 100%. Harry cared about his role in the royal family. He cared about duty. He cared about his family. So I don't know if they're building a case here to bring Harry back in the fold and blame it all on Meghan. Most likely, as you know, they're crumbling. They failed or failing in their mission. And so, they want to rescue Harry and let Meghan hang when they both deserve to hang. But we all know Harry's not going to pay the price for the crimes he's committed, the censorship and everything else. So this documentary could just be to start planting the seeds for Harry's return to the UK and the royal family. So in the next part, they justify that, well, because they're royals, they have to live in a mansion. They can't just buy any old house, and then they're going to need security. And so they start going into the fact that, they're forced to buy a $14 million mansion. They have to. They're royalty. They can't just, And then they say that Harry got a $14 million from Princess Diana, and allegedly Meghan was worth $5 million. And, they had to buy a mansion. So then they had a mortgage, according to them. And then they said, they had to pay for security, of course, even though they weren't paying for security. That was paid for by the taxpayer here. So, but they're using this to justify all these expenses. Well, Meghan had to monetize the royal family. She had to use her royal family connections to exploit and make money from it. They were forced to. They had to live in a mansion. They had to pay for security, even though they probably didn't. We know they didn't pay for the security, and they probably didn't pay for the mansion either. Then they go into the Oprah interview, don't mention Prince Philip dying, and they're saying, we tried to get help because you were asking for help and couldn't get it. Oh, yeah. So Harry's here, they're attacking the royal family here, obviously. Meghan goes into her false racist accusations. And as TRG mentioned, this documentary spins it as it was such a successful interview for Harry and Meghan because, of course, it led to their lucrative Netflix deal, that they have a story to tell, that they're going to be, telling the secrets of the royal family. And then they talk about the art. They mentioned the Archwell, and they said, they started their Archwell Productions. What are they going to do? And they came out with the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary, and they're framing it as it's Harry and Meghan telling their story and dishing secrets because, well, that's what Netflix wanted. You can't blame Harry and Meghan for that, right? And then I neglect to mention that this is where the 6-part series is where Meghan did her fake tears and brought out Christopher Boozy and attacked citizens who had Twitter and YouTube accounts and made their hit lists of people they wanted censored. So, of course, we know this documentary was where Boozy was introduced with his fraudulent bot Sentinel. The whole thing was a scam, just a platform for bringing in censorship is at least a part of what this propaganda documentary from Netflix was about. But of course, they don't mention any of this in this documentary. According to this documentary, it's just Harry and Meghan telling their story. They make no mention of all the socialist, communist talking points in the documentary of Boozy and all that, and attacking citizens. So the topic of security comes up again. They lie and say, they need to make money for security that we know they don't pay for. And they lied so many lies in the Oprah interview and in this Netflix documentary, and you see Meghan brings it up again. She claims in the Netflix, one of many lies in this documentary that they point out was such a huge hit. 81 million viewers. But Meghan brings up the lie, our security was being pulled. And even in the Oprah interview, she claimed that she wanted titles for her children, not because she cared about titles, but because of the security. They were going to take away security. Lies, lies, lies. Right there, our security was being pulled while taxpayers were paying in America and in the UK are paying for their security. They lie and lie and lie about this constantly. And so this is being repeated in this documentary. They keep bringing up the security. Harry and Meghan had to do Netflix and Oprah because they need to make money to pay for their security because they have to live like royals. And their security was being pulled. None of this is true. It's all a lie. Taxpayers funded their security entirely. Harry did go to court to get extra security paid for by the public recently, and he lost, rightfully so. But they always had paid for security by the public, always, because of because of Harry's diplomatic status as, a public figure or leader or whatever he's considered. I mean, everything they've done, the Oprah and the Harry Meghan Netflix is and was pure propaganda, just like this is. And I find it interesting that Harry here in this introduction to the Netflix propaganda piece, Harry says, quote, "No one knows the full truth." Right? No one knows the truth. Isn't that a big talking point with the censorship? Like Jacinda Ardern said, you come to us for the truth. We have the truth. Don't listen to all those online sources. Don't do any research, right? So here's Harry saying, no one knows the full truth. We know the full truth. Yeah, you just go to Harry and Meghan for the truth. You don't listen to anyone else. Yeah, don't listen to those pesky former employees who all say they were bullied in the UK and in the US. Now, so again, going to the idea that their truth is the only truth, and anyone who contradicts that gets deplatformed. So they do go into Meghan's vow to the Queen that she did, and how off-putting that was, and it sort of encapsulates their entire relationship in many ways. But they do mention that the Netflix propaganda piece came out just a couple of months after Queen Elizabeth's death. So you had the Oprah interview when Prince Philip's death, when he lay dying and died soon after. And then they did the Netflix when Queen Elizabeth, right after Queen Elizabeth passed. And at the time we heard there was a lot cut out of it. Like there was a lot more Meghan did against the Queen that they cut out for fear of more backlash, I guess. So you have to wonder, what are they going to come out with King Charles's death? I can only imagine if they're going to continue this putting out propaganda pieces at the timing of deaths, royals, prominent royals. So of course they go into the polo failure, the polo show they did, and the Invictus propaganda, which I never watched but heard it was to promote the war in the Ukraine, promoting war in general. And they point out that she got a $700,000 advance for that children's book she wrote. And of course, it didn't sell because it was crap. And they said, well, it's the publisher's fault. Yeah, There was no story in the bench. It was just Meghan's meanderings. Then they bring up the $20 million from Spotify that they got, allegedly. Yeah, was it talent or titles? Yeah, I think we know the answer to that. Podcasting. Ugh. Meghan is not a podcaster. So they point out here about the Spotify podcast that the first episode was highly edited and fake, and Harry and Meghan on there saying, "Hi, this is Meghan, and this is Harry." And here you can hear a fake voice of what's supposed to be Archie. So they did one podcast. It was on a solar eclipse, if I remember correctly. I looked at the astrology at the time. But anyways, so they did one podcast, and then they waited a year before they released another one. So this was December 2020. Harry and Meghan, 2020 holiday special they did for Archwell Audio. And then they point out how they didn't this was the last podcast they did for a year before Meghan came back again a year later and came out with her archetypes nonsense. And she actually tried to get a patent or whatever, not a patent, but she tried to get that, trademark that word. She wanted to own it. I love the word archetypes, which is absolutely ludicrous. And just shows how crazy this whole PR propaganda psyop, this Harry and Meghan psyop is. So this kind of shows this Spotify deal, how it starts out Harry and Meghan together, and people expect that they're going to be talking about the royal family and royal secrets and their relationship and whatnot. But instead, they just did one very edited, and I remember they had Abrams on there, a politician. They had politicians on there and pushing the leftist, woke people in that first show. And by the time Meghan started her archetypes almost a year and a half later, August 2022, when Archetypes was released, and it was just Meghan this time. It's just her, just about her. And she, of course, lied in these episodes, claiming that her Archie was in a fire in South Africa, claiming the fire started, and claiming that she stayed in a average place. I forget what the word for it, some kind of tenement or something. But in reality, she stayed at the palatial mansion of a British diplomat. So she lied and lied some more again on this. But the point is, they started off the podcast with a royal thing, and then boom, then it's just Meghan and what she wants to talk about. So you can kind of see how she's, with the Spotify, Meghan was using the platform of a royal to try to boost herself alone. So you can see this trying to boost Meghan alone by starting with a platform of a royal. So I think Meghan just sees the royals and the royal platform as just a springboard to launch herself, which is obvious to everyone, but I mean, it's clearly shown with the Spotify and what they did with Spotify in that podcast. So again and again, Meghan marries into the royal family, claims that she was blindsided by protocols, launches herself out with Megxit, expects to make huge success in California, struggles with that because she's just bitching and moaning and looking like a witch and lying her ass off. And then again with the Spotify, again trying to launch herself off the royal platform with Harry by doing one highly edited podcast with him, and then launching a year and a half later her archetypes. Just this repeated theme of Meghan trying to launch herself off the royal family using the royal connections, and it always fails. Everything she does fails. She sucks at everything. Everything. The Spotify deal, and they point out how Spotify ditched them. It shows also that Harry and Meghan don't work. They're lazy. They promoted Meghan even in the beginning of this documentary, saying she's so hardworking, she's so ambitious, she's made her own multi-million-dollar empire, she's such a successful feminist and entrepreneur, and yet they're lazy. They get a 20 million Spotify deal, and they don't produce anything for a year and a half after one episode. And even with her, her attempt at her archetypes, I think she made 13 episodes or something. I mean, nothing. She did no work, and it was all, very scripted. It came out later, she didn't even do the interviews. Other people did the interviews, and she put in her answer. She edited in her answers later. So, I mean, it just goes to show how controlling Meghan is and how lazy she is. And Harry didn't even do anything. He did one show, and that was it. So, I mean, their laziness comes out in this, and we're supposed to believe that they're trying to be financially independent, but they don't. It became clear at this point, too, that they don't want to do anything. They just want money thrown at them, just like with her book, children's book. That was crap. There was no story. It was just talking about a bench and just putting in a few lines here and there. It was horrible. It's like one of the worst children's books ever. And she got a $700,000 advance that she didn't have to pay back because she didn't sell that many. Her royalties were supposed to pay for it. It didn't happen. So, I mean, Harry and Meghan, they're lazy. They produce crap. And, because Meghan is trying too hard to use the royal connection. I mean, it's supposed to be a boost, a huge boost to her, which of course, this is why she's on Netflix and why she's on Spotify, but she has no talent to back it up. And she doesn't even try. All she does is lie. She gets on these podcasts, shows that she lies and lies and lies, and then censors anyone and attacks them for pointing out her lies. So that's why it feels like they're just provoking us with her, and that goes to the provoking part, provoking people, provoking outrage and resentment by doing this huge 6-part Netflix series, attacking people with Christopher Boozy, and then lying and lying, while at the same time getting millions of dollars just thrown at them for doing nothing. So they really, so this like cemented Meghan and Harry as being just grifters. And that is what the head of Spotify called Harry and Meghan. An executive dropping a bombshell. Called them effing grifters. He's saying that's the podcast we should have launched with them. Bill Simmons there. So yeah, even when the owner of Spotify or one of the executives of Spotify, call you effing grifters, right there. That seals the deal. Like a con artist, exactly. And thank goodness he did come out and say that, because up until this point, everyone else had been silenced, whether they're deplatformed, threatened, like the people who were bullied by them, the staff, and whatnot. Everyone else was silenced. But this is the one person who, with clout, that, finally, officially said what everyone was already knew, but we're being censored for pointing out. So this, thank goodness, helping to bring about the downfall of Harry and Meghan. A platform that Harry and Meghan could have made millions from, and many people have, is YouTube. And they control YouTube, which we already know from all of our deplatformings. Why didn't they just go on YouTube? And they failed there because they don't have a work ethic. They're lazy. And they prefer to censor people on YouTube than, Catherine and William have a YouTube page. I guess maybe, I don't know. That's a good question. If Harry and Meghan they wanted to work and prove themselves, they could have done it right here on YouTube. And this is funny, this part about how Harry wanted to do an interview with Vladimir Putin. He thinks he's so important that Vladimir Putin's going to do a podcast with him. And he is very connected to NATO and whatnot. But they're saying they're going to call him and say, "Hey, Vlad, I want to talk to you about why you're a narcissist and a psychopath." I mean, the ego and arrogance of Prince Harry, especially considering the whole Russia thing, the fake accusations against Trump and the attacks, and how they enjoy attacking Putin. The fact that Harry would suggest doing a podcast and portraying Putin as a narcissist and psychopath, kettle, shows the political angle here is what I'm getting at. We all know British, I can't remember their names, but the British people involved with that Russia hoax is very much a lot of British, just like a lot of British involved with the censorship complex. So, yeah, again, pointing to Harry's nefarious reasons, real reasons for being here. And they go into Harry's book with his ridiculous lies and stories in there. Again, getting paid way too much money for it. And many think Meghan helped him write this in order to destroy his relationship with his brother and family even more. So Harry, made lies about his brother attacking him and also criticized Camilla. So no doubt, causing damage with his family. And they even say here in the documentary, there are facts that Meghan was clearly behind Spare. And is it just me, or does she have the weirdest looking hands? Her ring finger and middle finger like dipped down, inverted. It's just very bizarre hands. So then they go into the hypocrisy of this feminist and entrepreneur, ambitious. Now she's putting herself into the kitchen. She made sure to show the dog that she broke the legs of. And she portrays herself as being, a crappy Martha Stewart. And, contradicting her earlier podcasts, the way she was portraying herself as, this politically active woman, and now she's just a trad wife who likes to cook and entertain. It's like he put it, she went in an early career, she's a feminist who's got, angry that women are depicted as only being in the kitchen. Yeah, her 11-year-old story. And now she's back as a trad wife at home in the kitchen being traditional. But all she's really doing is cutting up fruit and making rainbow flags of the New World Order. So with the cooking show and how fake it was, wasn't even in her kitchen, and it was obvious the whole thing was not real. She didn't do any cooking. It's a fake house. She's not really having Daniel Martin over to stay. She's wearing white clothing while cooking. Nobody cooks in white clothing. And being a Stepford wife. And then they go into that clip of her with Mindy Kaling when she corrects her about her name, saying, "I'm no longer Meghan Markle. I'm the Sussex now." So it's the part where the standout clip, as they call it, where Meghan, she talks in this patronizing, nasty tone that you can tell what a bully she really is. And so people had a field day with that, how Meghan is clinging to those titles for dear life because it's all she has going for her. And then it continued on with the next stint, the next podcast Meghan did, which was that Jamie Lynn Kern. And how Meghan sent her a gift with a card signed Her Royal Highness Duchess of Sussex. So this is very recent. It appears, the most recent thing Meghan has done, the Jamie Lynn Kern podcast. So the fact that Meghan, Jamie Kern Lima, keep forgetting her name. So Meghan sent her this gift, and on the card it was signed off Her Royal Highness. Her Royal Highness Duchess of Sussex, the Duchess of Sussex. I mean, there it is. I'd almost forgotten about that. Kind of looks like a KKK, doesn't it? KKK, Duchess of Sussex. But yeah, Meghan is actually sending out cards that say HRH, which is against the Megxit. Meghan is not supposed to be using HRH titles at all. Yeah, so she's breaking the deal here with the Queen. So again, doing things to provoke people, right? And she has nothing else. The only talent Meghan seems to have is to provoke people. And I think why she was hired for this gig. Everything, the way she talks, the patronizing tone, the arrogance, the sloppiness, the pushiness, the lies. And, she does everything in a way to try to have plausible deniability. The explanation for this that was given, or they tried to claim, well, this wasn't an official thing. It was just a gift to a friend. I mean, that doesn't matter, right? And this, the fact that she would have cards like this made up with her little logo and etc. And it's professionally printed. She obviously has a stack of these somewhere with the compliments of HRH. I mean, yeah, so Meghan is doing everything she can to provoke people, particularly the royal family, I guess, and the British as well. Now, this documentary here tries to diminish the fact that this was part of the Megxit deal, right? This was part of their contract, but instead they're claiming it was just an understanding that when Meghan was in the States, she would not use it. It was a gentleman's agreement. I don't think so. I think this was officially part of Megxit. They could not use HRH anymore. So they're trying to downplay it here, what she did here in provoking people. And, considering all the divisiveness, the attacks with their Sussex squad, the attacks on the royal family, Harry's attacks on the royal family, the fact that she would call her show With Love, Meghan, it's another provoking aspect of this as well, because we know Meghan has been far from loving in her career so far. I mean, just look at the way she treated her friend Mindy Kaling, correcting her in a patronizing, sharp way. It's like, oh, with love. But don't you dare call me Meghan Markle. I'm a Sussex now. You bitch. I mean, with love, Meghan, really. Oh, my goodness. So then they go into her latest stint with the scam jam. And nobody in the mainstream media is going to point out that those flour sprinkles are rabbit food. And it's so obvious it is. You can look it up on Amazon. They try to claim that calligraphy is hers. Meghan does not know calligraphy at all. Yeah, so and this is, of course, another disaster and another provoking people, I think. A direct competition and mocking of the royal family, but also how disgusting everything Meghan has produced is. I point out how much Meghan marked it up and how she immediately said, oh, out of stock, we're sold out. What a joke. So they're pointing out that it went out of stock in just a few minutes, not even a few days, a few minutes. So even this, as ever stuff just shows how lazy Meghan is, because everyone knows Netflix is the one that found these products and made them put labels on them for her. But they also go into another lie here, claiming there was a so-called Meghan effect, claiming that everybody wanted to wear her clothing, Meghan's clothing. Meghan looks like a slob everywhere she goes. Of course, they only show the better pictures. We all know there's plenty out of pictures showing how horrendously she dresses and how awful clothes look on her. But they're trying to push it. Now, besides putting these lies of a Meghan effect, which is a total lie, they make no mention of the fake pregnancy scandal. Nothing about that mentioned at all. And this is, again, yet another example of how these professional journalists, or whatever you want to call these propagandists, never bring up that scandal about the fake pregnancies. Never, never, never. And they don't even mention Christopher Boozy and the censorship that they promoted in their Netflix. So that they're putting that completely out of the history now. Don't even think about that. Pretend it didn't happen. That's what they're trying to do here. So I wasn't aware of this, so much going on, that because of this so-called Meghan effect, which we all know is fake, it's more like the Catherine effect. She has a third Instagram page that she launched just to push her ugly clothes. I thought it was a fan who made that page. I didn't realize Meghan was behind it. So she's got at least 3 Instagram accounts. I mean, talk about Instagram loving bitch wife right here. 3 Instagrams that we know of. I'm sure there's more. This woman loves Instagram. So right here, March 24th, 2025, she launched Duchess of Sussex Shop My page, where fans could shop her favorite products. And Meghan gets a cut of everything. Of course, it's always about her nickel and diming and getting everything she can. So, wow. So she has 3 pages there on Instagram. Instagram, loving bitch wife. That's what she should name the next Netflix show she does. And that's what she's all about, Instagram. All this witch wants to do. The only thing she's not completely lazy about is doing Instagram. She loves her Instagram. Unbelievable. So this is her as well. Curated collection. They have garbage. Look how boring and bland. A white t-shirt. That's her signature look. They're calling this her signature look. White t-shirts. I mean, to say that white t-shirts are, I mean, that's the most ordinary, common thing worn, are white t-shirts, white button-up. She's picking the most bland, there's no signature to that. That's common basic outfits. Yeah, she's trying to make that her signature. And again, promoting the TIG lie. No one ever heard of the TIG. It was a stupid WordPress, and there were millions of WordPresses. I had one. Everyone had one. No big deal. She would not make millions from that unless she was the deep state's just funneling money to her that way. Yeah, it's not stylish. She's a slob. But wow, white t-shirts. She's trying to pick something that's just a basic outfit that everyone wears and try to turn it into her signature. Yeah, this right here is her signature. That's Meghan's signature outfits right there.
She's a member of the royal family. She's still using the Sussex name for notoriety, for gain, and for financial gain too.
And it wasn't the first time Meghan's titles had stirred up headlines. In April 2025, podcaster Jamie Kern-Lima shared a picture of a sweet thank you gift from the Duchess after Meghan had appeared as a guest on her podcast. But it wasn't the gift that got people talking. It was the card, signed off with Her Royal Highness. This was seen as going against the spirit.
So this creeping propaganda of what Meghan's doing with this card, I just want to go back to it for a second. She is, I've said for years now, she wants to be California royalty. She wants to be seen as an American queen. And of course, that's what her Sussex squatters call her. And she's doing stuff like this, like dropping it in the public conscious, HRH, right? She's slipping it out there through not her 3 Instagram accounts, but the Jamie Lynn Kern one. So she's like putting it out there little by little, drop by drop, that she's an HRH. And when this was called out, of course, Meghan never responds, never explains herself, just like a royal. Don't never complain, never explain. But of course, all Meghan does is complain, but she never explains. And so this is, again, she's still pushing herself as Queen of California, Queen of America here. And the fact that in this most recent event in April 2025, for Meghan to be slipping in, I'm a Sussex now, I'm not Meghan Markle, and to be putting out cards with HRH on it just shows she's not stopping. She's not distancing herself from the royal family. She stepped down from the royal family, and you think, she was told not to use it. She was no longer a working royal. But she's saying, F you, I'm HRH. I'm a working royal. I'm of service. Right? And that was another thing that her Sussex squad harassed the royal family with, because the Queen pointed out that Harry and Meghan did not want to live a life of service. So Meghan and her army of Sussex squad pushed back. Yeah, she's of service. Service is universal. Service is universal. And they tweeted, thousands of bots tweeting that, retweeting that to the royal family, against the royal family. And to this day, they still reiterate through repetition that's, lie. So, this is for sure. Meghan is trying to be Queen of America here. She's trying to portray herself as American royalty. And that needs to be, cut back quick. This needs to be stopped ASAP, because even if it's not official, she's in her mind going to behave like this. And if people accept this, she's going to accept that,
In this new era of Meghan, who is she going to be? Will she leave the royal title behind? Or is Duchess too valuable to let go of?
If you look at the stuff that she is selling, and so it's jam and it's tea, home bakery goods, the branding on it looks like royal lettering. It's very rooted in Meghan as a member of the royal family, which also seems odd, right? Because she left the royal family and now she's this California mum. So that's a disconnect.
Well, it's not a disconnect if you look at it as Meghan is trying to be the Queen of America, her own fiefdom. She's saying, I'm royal. I don't need the royal family because I'm my own royal family, is what I get from that. From the HRH.
They are, of course, royal. That is the most successful thing that's linked to them. I don't know what the authentic Meghan Markle is. I mean, how would I know? How would anybody know? Harry might not even know. Who knows?
But no matter what Meghan does, love her or hate her, people are watching.
She's selling out her clothes, she's selling out her jams, she's still making people watch her shows. She's doing pretty well.
I think Meghan's brand appeals to so many because of the whole story, whether they're watching because they want to criticize her or whether they're watching because they genuinely, enjoy watching her and they want to buy her thing. No, but they're always watching.
More of her with a Netflix renewal.
The Netflix deal with Harry and Meghan was apparently for 5 years. So it's up this autumn, 2025. Will it be renewed? The media landscape has changed. Netflix are not signing up anyone in these big deals anymore. And even the streamers that historically had so much money to splash around, even they are under financial pressure now.
Got to decide.
So now in this part, they're planting the seeds of Harry separating from Meghan and, Meghan launching her own solo career. And Harry possibly, they don't say it, but I think Harry possibly returning to the fold.
See how the next season of With Love Meghan does.
And what about her prince? As the couple appear to be parting ways professionally, it looks like Meghan could be going solo.
In the future, Netflix deal with the couple is likely to be just with Meghan rather than Harry, unless they choose to do another intimate sort of series about their personal lives, really.
Already you can see that Harry and Meghan are on different paths. Harry wants to do philanthropy, make the world a better place, duty, service. Service is universal, according to Harry and Meghan. But Meghan, it's all about the money. It's interesting becoming the new Martha Stewart. I mean, Goodman's prison. So if Martha Stewart can outlast all of that and still be the doyenne of middle America, then surely there's hope for Meghan Markle yet.
Wherever Meghan goes, the royal title isn't far behind. So will it always be a moneymaker for brand Meghan?
She will always be the woman who married into the royal family. That'll be her brand. That's it. There is no other. So how do you use that for the good as high as you can?
To what extent they can monetize their royal connections in the future, this is a huge question mark. There's absolutely no doubt that Meghan is cashing in on her royal titles, because without marrying Harry, essentially she would be a B-list actress.
I don't know if she has star power. She has something about her that people will be drawn towards and intrigued by because of her background, because of the life that she has lived, because of her choice to do that very differently in a way that's never been done before.
Because of the fake pregnancies, because of having illegitimate children in the line of succession, because of all the lies, because of the censorship, because of the attacks on American people and silencing their freedom of speech. Oh, so many things, but they're not listed in this documentary.
Before, I think there will always be a fascination around her that she will be able to capitalize on and make a lot of money from.
The fascination is why all the journalists are ignoring the biggest stories and scandals around Harry and Meghan, and why there is no justice yet.
Yet. Everything is yet. The power of yet.